According to worldhunger.org, the estimated percentage of U.S. households that were food insecure has declined significantly from 14% in 2014 to 12.7% in 2015. World hunger is a real issue. Unfortunately, we can't help the whole world, so we have to start small and local. I'm Cesar M, a speech student at UALR, and I completed my 4 hours of community service at the Gardner Memorial Church food pantry in North Little Rock. Today I'm going to tell you about my service learning. First, I'm going to tell you about my experience at the food pantry. Then I'm going to connect communication concepts to my service learning. And finally, I'm going to give myself a communication recommendation and apply an ethical implication that will help improve my community. Now let me tell you about my service learning. I completed my service learning at the Gardner Memorial Church food pantry in North Little Rock. The mission of the organization is, according to their website, is to prevent hunger in North Little Rock. Their goal is to provide about 4-day supply of food every 28 days. On their website, there's a quote that says, "There is a need in our community for this service, and we strive to be the hands to do the work." The pantry itself is staffed 100% by volunteers. Dana was the main organizer while I was there. She told me what to expect and kind of informed me about the people that we were going to meet and stuff. Most of the volunteers that I worked with were in charge of making sure all the people received their respective amount of food. Several of the other volunteers were in charge of unloading the weekly shipment of food that we received and made sure that they were stocked in their correct places. Of course, I met a variety of different clients there. One client I remember, his name was John. He was a former veteran and had a very large family. I believe he had a household of about 16 people, which was crazy to me. The food pantry itself is located at the Gardner Memorial Church in North Little Rock, at the corner of 18th and Pike, I believe. The food is donated by local churches and also purchased through other food banks and stores as well. My first role during my time there was to check people in and make sure that their information was all up to date. Once their information was up to date, I was in charge of making sure that they received their respective amount of food depending on their household. When the shipment came in, I helped unload the truck and make sure the shelves were all stacked accordingly. Since I was the youngest volunteer there, I helped relieve some of the physical labor from some of the elderly volunteers that were there. By also being the youngest, I also brought some energy and enthusiasm and brought some smiles to the people that were there receiving the food. It was kind of nice to see someone so young there, wanting to help. As the quote says, I was the hand there that was there to help serve the need in the community. Now I'll apply communication concepts. There are 2 communication concepts and a communication principle that connects to my service. The first communication concept is gossip. The definition, according to Lane, Abigail, and Gooch, is communication about people, not necessarily against them. An example from my experience was when Dana decided to tell me about John right away and what he was about and what he meant to the food bank itself. And this represents gossip because I had no background information about John, and so all of a sudden she started telling me about it. The second communication concept is substituting. The definition, according to Lane, Abigail, and Gooch, 2014, is a function of nonverbal communication. An example from my service learning of this was the fact that I decided to point at food instead of saying the actual name of the food. And this illustrates this very well because I instead of saying it, I substituted with pointing at it. The relevant communication principle is communication involves both verbal and nonverbal messages. The definition, according to the UALR Survival Guide 2017, is all behavior has symbolic potential. An example is the fact that every single volunteer there always had a smile on their face and just created this atmosphere that was very welcoming, and obviously we never judged any of the people that were there to come get their food. This illustrates this very well because the smile was sending a non-vocal message to these clients. Now it's on to using these skills. Based on my service experience, I can use communication concepts and civil and ethical implication to improve my community. Improving our communication is important. One communication concept I can use to improve my communication is paralanguage. The definition, according to Lang, Abigail, and Gooch, 2014, is a category of non-verbal communication that includes tone of voice, accents, pauses, and silence. I chose this concept based on my service experience because on my first day, I caught myself being kind of quiet and not too involved, and at one point, one of the other volunteers wasn't really talking to me until I talked to them, so it was kind of either I engage or they don't engage, so it's kind of a win-win situation there. I can use this concept to improve my communication by being a little more confident what I'm talking about and being more clear about what I'm saying so I don't leave any questions in the minds of my listeners. A civil and ethical implication I could use to improve my communication would be respect. The definition, according to the UALR Survival Guide 2017, is actively listening and showing regards to the ideas of others before evaluating and responding to their messages. I chose this implication based on my service experience because not knowing the backgrounds of all these people is hard enough as it is, but no matter what, we always show the utmost respect to them. I can use this implication to improve my community because relationships are built on respect. Taking regard to everyone's need in our community would only strengthen the relationships in our community. In conclusion, I told you about my service learning. First, I told you about my experience at the food pantry. Then I connected my communication concepts to my service experience. And finally, I gave a communication recommendation, and applied an ethical implication that would improve my community. I contributed a small piece to my community, and I hope that you can go out there and serve the 1 in 8 Americans that need our help.